morning. Welcome to Cucina. This is our 10th episode, and today I'm be making moussaka, which is it's sort of like a little eggplant lasagna. So today that's a Greek recipe. So because I'm cooking both Italian and Greek, I'm just showing the flag of the origin of the dishes whenever I cook those particular dishes. So we're going to get started, and to a nice heated pan we're going to add some olive oil and let that heat up a little bit. So we're going to heat up the oil, and then we're going to add one finely chopped onion. And you want to brown the onion a little bit. Increase the heat a little bit. And one of the things that I'll be using now, for the meat, you can either use lamb, beef, or bison. So I'm using bison today because it has a very low fat content and you don't have to drain it once it's cooked. In addition to that, for the eggplant, I had a really difficult time finding some organic eggplant. And eggplant is, you want to make sure that it is organic. Even the conventional eggplant has a very low incidence of pesticides, but again, I always say the ingredients that you use, that really makes the difference for the flavors. So to this, I'm going to cook it a little bit more. Get this a little brown, and then we're going to add a little bit of salt to taste. Depends on your preference. A little bit of black pepper. Now, the traditional moussaka recipe, you use potato, and you can either fry it or you can roast it. Now, the recipe that I have today is a keto-friendly recipe, so I'm not using the potato. And in addition to that, I'm not frying the eggplant. I'm roasting it. So what you need to do, and I'm not going to show you that, I've already done that. So when you cut the eggplant, you want to slice it in 1/4 inch slices. Do not peel it. And place it on a cooking sheet or parchment, and then paper towels underneath. And you want to place it on the sheet. Salt it both sides and let it stand for about 10 to 20 minutes. Then after that, pat it dry. Then take the eggplant and either put it on parchment paper or just a regular oiled cookie sheet, and roast it in a 400-degree oven for about 15 to 20 minutes, and turn the eggplant halfway through, so you have a nice roasted eggplant. So in the interest of time, I'm not going to show you that, I'm just explaining that. So now I am going to add the meat. Then you're going to brown this up a little bit. And once the pinkness is gone, because you're still going to brown this up, once the pinkness is gone, you're going to add 3 cloves of chopped garlic. Because again, as I've said before, you don't want to burn the garlic because then it makes the dish bitter. So while this is browning up, I am going to spray a casserole pan with some olive oil. The sides and the bottom, because we're going to start to layer the eggplant, and you don't want it to stick. So I'm going to start layering the eggplant on the bottom of the pan. Clean hands. I'm going to have a few spaces in between. So I want 2 layers. So I'm just going to do the one right now. Okay. So see the meat is nicely browned, and then once that happens, once you get to that point, add 1 tablespoon of freshly washed snipped parsley. I like to snip the parsley instead of chopping it because sometimes it just gets bruised and you lose some of the flavor. So we're adding that, a little bit of that, and then 1 cup of tomato sauce. And stir that in. Now some people, I use a little bit of tomato paste, so you can use between 1 and 3 tablespoons of tomato paste. You can add that. It just gives it a little bit of a oomph flavor, a little bit more tomato paste flavor. So I'm going to use, these are teaspoons, so 3 of these are going to equal 1 tablespoon. And to that, I'm going to add 2 ounces of red wine. Any red wine to your flavoring, to your preference, sorry. And I put that in with the tomato paste so I can get every good little bit out of there. The only type of wine I wouldn't use a sweet wine like a Mavrodafne. That's too sweet for the, you can use that when you're cooking some of the desserts, but I wouldn't do that for this. It's going to be a little too sweet. And then when you make the bechamel sauce, there's going to be a little bit of sugar in that too. So you might, unless you want it to taste like a dessert, I guess you could. So I'm just mixing all that in. I'm going to turn the heat up a little bit. And then to that, as you know, I like cinnamon. So I am adding a little bit of ground cinnamon, again to your taste. I like a lot of it. and this is Ceylon instead of Saigon cinnamon. As I've said before, the Saigon cinnamon has more coumarin in it than the Ceylon, and the way you can tell the difference is the Saigon cinnamon is spicy. It's a little spicy and it's cheaper. Ceylon cinnamon costs a little bit more and it has more of a floral taste. And Consumer Reports also recently had some articles about cinnamon and the lead content. But the Whole Foods or the McCormick's, I think the Whole Foods only has 0.2 parts per million, which is below what the standard is. So again, organic and Ceylon cinnamon is the best to use. So you're gonna let this simmer a little bit, maybe about 10 minutes until all the, or right now it looks like everything's done, until all the flavors are melded together. And you want the, well, you have a little bit of sugar with the wine too, even though it's not a sweet wine. So the alcohol will evaporate and leave the sugar. Okay, so I'm going to take this off the heat. And we're going to start to plate it, and then we're going to come back and make the bechamel sauce, which will be on top. So I am going to put all the meat sauce on top. Now if you had the potatoes, you'd be layering it a little bit. You'd be layering the meat sauce with the potato and the eggplant. But we're not doing that. This is a keto-friendly recipe. Get it all in the little corners and try to cover the pan as much as you can and cover the eggplant as much as you can. Okay, so now we're going to finish with the eggplant, and again I had a very small one, so I'm not covering the whole thing. So we're going to layer it. So if you want, it's a bigger one. So we're going to come back and we're going to make the bechamel sauce. So now we're going to make the bechamel sauce. So what I'm using is 1.5 quarts of goat milk. It's whole fat. Now, and I know some people don't want that, but it is easier to digest, especially for people who are lactose intolerant. If you don't want to use goat milk, and really there's no difference in taste, you can use regular cow's milk. So to the pan, I'm going to add that. And I like to get local, and this is from a farm in Vermont, so it's local. So to that, I'm going to let this warm up a little bit. You're going to have to scald the milk. So I'm going to increase the heat a little bit. And then to that, we are going to add some farina, which is a thickening agent, and some butter. You're going to let the butter melt. A little bit of salt to taste. Some white pepper. Because the bechamel sauce is white, you don't want those little black flecks from the black pepper. and then a little bit of nutmeg, which gives it just a little bit, just a little touch. If you put too much, it's going to be too strong of a flavor. So we're going to scald that. And a little bit of sugar, 1 tablespoon of raw sugar we're going to add to it. And then 9 slightly beaten eggs, or if you want to use the 1 carton of liquid eggs, or if you're worried about cholesterol, then you can use the 1 carton of egg substitute. You know, egg beaters or one of those. The Whole Foods one has the organic egg substitutes. So this is gonna scald. You're gonna get the, whoops. So you're gonna scald the milk. Just warm it. And one of the things that you want to do is when you're using the eggs, you want it at room temperature because you're going to be adding it to a hot liquid. You can temper it, but you really don't have to with this because you're stirring it constantly so that it doesn't get those little bits. So you're not cooking the egg. And it makes a nice, rich, creamy topping. I test it. Like you do for the milk for the bottles, for the babies. Don't let it boil because and keep stirring because you're going to get that coating on the bottom. The other thing with the goat milk, it doesn't produce the skin on the top. And that's another reason I like to use it. And if you do use the cow milk and it does produce the skin, please take that off. That will ruin your sauce. Okay, I'm adding 2 tablespoons of butter. Organic. I'm going to let that melt. And again, 1 tablespoon of raw sugar. And that'll melt into the sauce. Now for the cheese, it's Greek cheese. It's called kefalotira. It is you can find them in the Greek specialty markets. A Market Basket, I had a hard time finding that. I went all over the place to find that. Usually comes in a wheel. So what you're going to have to do is grate it before you use it. You can't just put it in chunks. So if you don't have the kefalotiri, other Greek cheeses you can use is called casseri, or you can use Romano or Parmesan if you can't find anything. It's going to be a little bit of kefalotiri is a little bit of a milder cheese than the Parmesan and the Romano. So just so that you know that, depending on what cheeses you use. You also can use a mix of Parmesan Romano and Asiago cheese. If you can find those either shaved, shredded, or grated in the grocery stores as well. So while that butter is melting, I'm going to use a little bit of salt. And season it with a little bit of salt to taste. A dash of white pepper. And then I'm also using as a thickening agent farina, about 2 ounces, or you know, some people for the bechamel sauce they use flour. I don't do that. I use the farina. It's a higher protein. So I'm gonna add the farina. I'm gonna cook that just like you would a cereal. So it's going to look a little grainy, but don't worry about that. It's going to mix with the sauce. And this is a thickening agent. It makes your sauce nice and creamy and thick. And the farina is a cereal, so it's a protein. And keep stirring, because this might take a few minutes to cook. So I'm gonna add the eggs. Slowly while you're stirring. And look at that beautiful color. Okay, so while that is cooking, I'm going to take a little bit of the cassetti cheese and sprinkle it on top of the mixture. And the rest of it we're going to put in the sauce itself, and that will melt. And we're going to add a little touch of nutmeg. Not too much. It smells good. Okay, so we're going to let this cook until it's thickened. It'll take a little bit of it, take a while, and then once it's cooked, we're going to ladle it on top of the eggplant and meat mixture, and we'll put it in the oven at 325 degrees for between 40 and 60 minutes until the top is golden brown. Okay, so the sauce is ready. So what you're going to do, just layer the sauce on top. What you don't want to do is let it sit too long to curdle, but it tastes good anyway. And this is a nice cheese sauce. This is the same sauce that you use for pasticcio. So moussaka, pasticcio, it's the same sauce. And then just use all of it. And spread it evenly. Okay, and that's, now again, we're going to put it in a 325 degree oven for 40 to 60 minutes until golden brown. We're back, and this is what it looks like, cut and plated. And if you want to, I would recommend that you serve it with some Greek pastries or Greek cookies. These are koulourakia. It's a butter cookie. So thanks for watching. I hope to see you in future episodes. If you want the recipes, you can click on the QR code on the bottom of the screen or contact me via on my email site on my website, which is Cucina.com. Thank you again, and Kali Orexi.